Hello, this is William McKissock with Schooley Mitchell, your expense reduction specialist. And remember, me interviewing businesses is not my day job. I do work for Schooley Mitchell as an expense reduction consultant, but I do have a passion for trying to help people. And this is one way of doing it, by interviewing businesses for free and on social media. And today I have with me Jeff Nischwitz. I'm glad I got your name right. And welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thanks, William. Happy to be here.
So let me give people a very brief overview of who you are, because it is very brief, and then we'll get you into some questions. You can tell us a little bit more. So Jeff is a business coach, an author, and a renowned speaker. And I've seen you speaking. I know you're fantastic. And I've also read your book. So Jeff, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came to be where you are as an author, speaker, and just a wonderful person in general.
Well, we'll do the mini version. It's somewhat unusual in that I'm a recovered lawyer, and most people don't believe you can go on from the law, and they wonder, how do you become a business coach, speaker, motivational speaker when you used to be one of those? Well, basically, you completely reinvent yourself. So I did that for a long time. I practiced law and realized I wasn't happy, and I quit. I had my own firm at the time, which people consider bold, and said, I got to go find what I'm really good at and what I really love, because I was really good at being a lawyer, but I didn't love it. And it took a couple of stumbles to get the right path, but stumbled onto this speaking and coaching business about 15 years ago. I'm new to the Tampa Bay area a couple of years, and after 35 years in Cleveland, Ohio. So enjoying the sunshine and the warmth and the great people of Tampa Bay.
It's nice that this time of year, that although it's cold for us right now, but it's kind of nice looking north to go. I'm so glad I live in Florida. when our winters are a little bit different from the ones further north. So Jeff, tell me a little bit more about exactly what you do. Obviously, you write books, you coach businesses, and you're a renowned speaker. So kind of like give us a little bit more detail about what you're actually doing and those three and how they all tie together.
Yeah, I'll sort of do the bullet point. So I always talk about what I do and then what it's sort of about. So what I do is I am a speaker. I speak at conferences, and when they are conferences happening, not too much the last couple of years. I also come into companies and speak to their teams, typically their leadership team, or talk about team communication or building a culture. I also do coaching. And it's funny because people will often say, Jeff, are you a business coach or a life coach? And my answer is, well, if you can tell me the difference, I'll answer your question. and no one's ever been able to answer it. So I really haven't had to answer the question. So what I really do is I help people see things differently, whether it's a business owner who is either stuck in trying to figure out how to grow, or the business has outgrown their leadership ability and they say, I need to be a better leader, or they're saying my team needs to step up in their leadership, or we're not working well together. So I'm really, at its core, a facilitator who helps people get where they want to go more predictably, more consistently, and quicker, whether I do that as a coach, as a trainer, or a facilitator.
And obviously you put some of those ideas into your books as well.
Yeah, I've written 5, excuse me, William. I've written 5 books now. The first one was for lawyers. The next couple or 3 were really about personal leadership. Then I wrote a memoir kind of book called Just One Step, about my walking journey in Spain on the Camino a few years ago, Camino de Santiago. And my newest book just came out in November 2021 actually, called Snow Globe Leadership, which is all about shaking up our thinking as leaders and shaking up how we look at leadership, how we look at our people, and what does it really mean to be an impactful leader in today's reality of the workforce and business.
Fantastic. And I was at your book launch just at the end of last year, and it was that was my first time to hear you actually speak, and it was fun listening to you. And it's a really good book. So if you're interested in reading something that's interesting, that'll help you shake it up. What's the name of the title again, Jeff?
It's called Snow Globe Leadership: Shaken, Not Settled.
So tell me, obviously there's lots of people does what you do. There's loads of people who are speakers, they're coaches, and they're authors. So there is a lot of people does all three because it's natural to fit them together. So what's different about you? Why do you stand above the crowd?
Well, there's 3 or 4 really quick things I'd share. One is I've been in the seat. I've started my own business. I've built a business, a couple of businesses. So I've been in the seat of owning a business and growing it. There's no good or bad or right or wrong, but sometimes you run into folks who have been in leadership but never really built a business. And if you want that guidance on building a business, I have that unique perspective. The other things I would highlight are, I'll just be blunt, I'm really good at questions. And to me, the best coaches are the best questioners, but it's not about a scripted question. It's that person who can sit and listen, and from that, use their intuitive abilities. I always say it's like figuring out what's the next question that needs to be asked, because I help people see things they can't see.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I don't give a lot of advice, frankly, but I help people see things, and I help people lower or remove the obstacles that are getting in their way. And the final thing is, I just see business and leadership very different than most people. And you say, how do you know? Let's have a conversation, because the thing I typically hear from people is things like, I never thought of it that way. I never saw that before. So in a lot of ways, I'm crazy, but I use that crazy to help people get where they want to go more quickly.
Well, join the club. Some people say I'm crazy as well, but it's because I've got a Scottish accent. I'm not really crazy.
Oh, you're crazy, and you have a Scottish accent.
I am. I'm crazy. So, as a well, what does a client look like? What does a typical client look like? The businesses, the people. Who's your target audiences for your book? So, what does a client look like?
Well, I'll throw out just a few examples, William. In the business world with business owners, typically it's a business owner who's saying, I'm trying to figure out how to grow and I don't know how to do it. I have a general idea, or I know where I want to go, but I don't know how to get there. And they kind of want some help getting there. Also, I tend to get involved with business leaders when they're struggling with something. It could be the business, but often the business might actually be okay, but they're kind of overwhelmed with everything else. The business is thriving, but their relationship is not going well. They're not the parent they want to be. They feel there's something broken, frankly, in their life. That's often what I'm doing with the business owners. Some other examples of the types of people I work with. I do a lot of work with professionals, lawyers, accountants, and interestingly, construction folks, architects, engineers, construction industry, to teach them how to consistently build relationships and grow their business. So it's really the business development side. And that's an example of my industries. I do a lot of work with construction, architects and engineers and construction. I do a lot with any kind of people doing services. I've branched out, started doing a lot more work with manufacturers, but it's always on the people side of things. So when people think they've got a people issue, I'm the guy to call, frankly. That's, we're not communicating well. We're not executing well. This one I love, when people say we have a problem with accountability. Man, I love that one. I've got a whole different approach to accountability. So I don't approach things like most people, because you know what, frankly, if we had the tool already, we'd be done. We wouldn't need me.
Yeah.
So we need something different.
I like your approach that you said in answer to the previous question, is that the way you get people just to think differently. You kind of like, everybody has it in them, and you're just kind of like, have you thought about doing it this way? And it's like, oh yeah, I didn't think about doing it that way. And suddenly they go, yeah, I could do it that way. Suddenly they've got a whole new lease of life and a whole new energy to focus on the problems that you're trying to work through with them. I think it's a great mindset that you bring to the table. And obviously, I've gotten to know you over the last few months, or maybe a year. I don't know how long it is we've known one another. And you're a fun guy, so I can appreciate that if you're in front of your audiences and your clients, I can see them easily talking to you and answering those difficult questions. Excuse me, my dog's in the background. I am a professional business, but I do have a dog in the house. So yeah, I really do like the way you're organized and the way you have people thinking out the box. That's really cool, the way you do it.
Well, it's pretty funny, William, because one thing that I was told over the years is I have this approach to questions. Even with my clients, I always ask permission. I'll say, hey, do you mind if I ask you a question? Or you and I could be hanging out. And I'd say, do you mind if I ask you a question? Yeah. And of course, everybody says yes. Well, my friends all started saying I should carry a business card that has a warning on it that says, if Jeff asks you that, be careful before you say yes, because you might become aware of something you've never become aware of, known before. So it's kind of like the Jeff Nischwitz warning: don't say yes unless you're ready for the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody watching this video, please see Jeff's information underneath his portion. You'll see mine underneath me. You'll see Jeff's underneath his. And then please reach out to any of us, but obviously reach out to Jeff, because this is who we're talking about today. His details are all there, his email address and his telephone number. So Jeff, as a final thought, obviously you said you came from up north, you came from the cold, way up there. Do you work with clients primarily in Tampa Bay, Florida, or do you work all over the country? I'm sure you do because of the whole Zoom facility we have now, but in general, do you work in other areas?
No. My business before I moved to Tampa, it was definitely a national business. Certainly concentrated in a couple of areas, the Ohio area, also in North Carolina. Now I would say most of my business is Ohio, North Carolina, and the Tampa Bay area. But on the speaking front, I've spoken all over the country. In fact, I've spoken in about 6 different countries. Right. Haven't made it to Scotland yet. I got next door to that other nation there.
But the one that sits underneath Scotland.
Yeah, the one that Scotland's on top of.
Yes, the one that Scotland's on top of. I know that country. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jeff. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Again, anybody watching the video, please reach out to Jeff at his details before. I know him personally. He's a great person to talk to, and he will have you thinking out the box. Just a great person to know. So please reach out. His details are there. Jeff, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, William, and for having your dog with us as well.
Yeah, he was a surprise visitor today. I'll now hand it over to Dave for the weather.